speaking of crises, and we talked earlier about management crises.
Yeah.
You walked into this job, and 2 weeks later, something that was a major crisis occurred where there had been two twins in a foster care situation that had been seriously abused. One died, and here you were 2 weeks into the job. Tell us about, I mean, the case has been discussed 100 times, so we don't need to get into the details of that, but tell us what you did and what you learned.
Well, you know, it was something obviously I wasn't prepared for in you know, the early weeks of this new job. But, you know, I did realize the magnitude of the problem. And although I knew I wasn't qualified to necessarily solve all the issues, or maybe even didn't really completely even understand how to approach the problem, what I knew I had to do is sort of be in charge of the situation. So, you know, I immediately, you know, flew to Miami. You know, I set up shop in Miami, and I set out to individually understand exactly what happened, you know, step by step, process by process, and not just relying on other people to explain to me what happened, but literally, you know, rolled up my sleeves and figured out, you know, why did these things happen, and how could this happen, and what could be done to avoid something like this ever happening again.
Well, in terms, let's walk through that a little bit. In terms of the foster parents, why didn't, I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times, why didn't someone in the system see what was coming in terms of what these parents were capable of?
Well, those are a lot of the good questions, and it goes to sort of what is the role of DCF and we have case management organizations that exist across the state. What is their role in sort of monitoring the foster care system? And, you know, in that example, and quite frankly probably happens in a lot of other places, is when a child is put into foster care, you know, remember the child is still the responsibility of the state, and the state has a responsibility to continue to track the progress of that child, not just that he's getting room and board, but that child is growing and succeeding in their education and in life just like any other child. And that wasn't happening in those cases. I mean, you know, there were lots of signals in that case that things were not right. You know, the children weren't getting their medical and dental exams. They were failing in school. They weren't showing up in school. And those red flags should have been going to a case manager, and a case manager should have been out there dealing with that. And those are exactly some of the changes we're now making in the system today, so that those types of problems, when they do occur, that our investigators and our managers know about that, and that we're engaging with that foster care family.